Hey everyone, what's up? I'm Georgia Ruddero, and today on Get Real, Get Real Estate, we're going to be talking about appraisals. So what is an appraisal? Why do you need one, and how do you get through it? There are two main reasons in which you would be getting an appraisal. The first reason is if you're purchasing a property, and the second reason is if you are doing a refinance. Let's start talking about when you're purchasing a property with a loan. How does the appraisal come about, and what do you need to do to prepare for it? So as soon as you open up escrow, the lender gets the copy of the offer, and what they do is they send that offer over to an appraiser. Now, what is an appraiser? An appraiser is an independent third party that's hired by the bank to go out to the property and verify A, the property's existence, and B, the property's value. Generally, if you're a buyer, there's nothing you need to do for the appraisal. Your agent will take care of it. If you're on the selling side, you need to make sure that your home has smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and you also need to make sure that your water heater is strapped, at least in the state of California. For smoke detectors, the rule in California is that you need one smoke detector for every bedroom and one smoke detector for every hallway leading to a bedroom. And then for carbon monoxide detectors, you need one carbon monoxide detector per level of house, right? So make sure that you're prepared with those before the appraiser comes, because what happens is if the appraiser shows up and they say there's no smoke detectors, they're usually going to have to come back out, and there's a fee associated with that, and it kind of delays escrow, and it's just not a fun thing. So sellers, please be prepared with the appropriate health and safety items that are required in the state of California, and that's really one of the best ways you can make sure to have a nice, smooth appraisal. So those are the things to prepare. Again, as a buyer, there's really nothing you need to do. Your agent is going to do all of this for you. And what this process is, and it's kind of something that happens behind the scenes, which is why I'm talking about it today, because I figured, you might want to know. So in prep for the appraisal, and even in prep for writing your offer, your agent should go over with you what happens if the property comes back at value and what happens if it doesn't, right? So hopefully by the time the appraisal has come, you're feeling really good about it. You know that, the property is a really high chance of appraising for where you've purchased it. And so it's going to be super calm. So let's go through what your agent is doing on the back end while in prep for that appraisal. So the most important thing that your agent is doing in prep for the appraisal is pulling a set of comparable sales. Now, when we're pulling these comparable sales, what we're looking at is kind of four main factors. And those four main factors are location, right? So we're pulling comps that are generally within, a quarter mile to a full mile away from the subject property to verify that, there are properties that are in similar location that are selling for a similar price, right? So location is the first one. Second one is size, right? When we're pulling comparable sales, we want to make sure that we're pulling properties that are of like size in terms of bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, all of that. Even lot square footage, you could add that in as well. The third thing that we're looking for is condition, right? So the home that you've purchased, we're trying to compare the condition of that home to other homes that have sold, let's say within the last 6 months, maybe a year at most. But in general, appraisers only want to go back, 6 months if they can, to make sure it's a very relevant sale, because the market can change, especially over a period of time. Condition, and then the final one is price, right? So we're looking at recent sales within the last 6 months and within about a half a mile to justify what the sales price is. And when the bank is having that independent third-party appraiser come out to verify A, sort of the existence of the property, and B, to verify that, the purchase price is in line with other comparable sales, that's the whole point of this. So at this point, we've prepared the comps, and the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go and meet the appraiser at the property. We schedule about an hour-long appointment to meet the appraiser, and what the appraiser does when they get to the property is they basically first go around the full exterior of the property and they measure the square footage of the property. That takes about, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, depending on the size of the property. They'll draw a little diagram and, make notations on it as to what the measurements are. And they're basically going to use that information just to go and check against public record. Is this square footage similar to what they have on public record? And if it's not, then they're going to note why. Maybe there was another unit or another bedroom added without permits or something like that, which is pretty common here in Oakland. So the next thing that they're going to do is they're going to go into the house and they're going to look through the whole home, and they're going to note things like what type of floors are there, has the kitchen been updated, has the bathroom been updated, are there views out the windows, what are you looking out to in the windows, generally just anything that has to do with condition, right? And they're going to use that information by going around and taking photos of what the interior and then the exterior look like, and they're going to take those back to compare against the comparable sales that I've handed them, and then also the comparable sales that they found that they feel would be appropriate. So that's basically all that happens in an appraisal. It kind of seems like this big black box, but it's really not. It's really, an hour-long appointment, a little bit of prep in advance. And then basically what the appraiser does is they take all of that information that they've gathered from me and then at the property, they take it back to their desk and they do what's called a comparable sales analysis, and they'll write up the appraisal report. Once they're done with that, they send it over to the bank, and then generally your lender, the person that you're working with on your loan, will reach out to you. And the ideal news that you want is, yay, the property came in at value, meaning that the appraiser's evaluation of your property, the number that they came up with is exactly the same as the purchase price, right? In general, that's what the appraiser is trying to do. They're trying to justify the purchase price, and then, it comes in at the same value. There are instances where your appraisal can come in over the value, and that's kind of an exciting thing. It doesn't really change how your loan is processed, meaning you don't get to put less money down or anything like that. In general, the lender will take the lower of the two numbers, so that will either be the purchase price or the appraised value. And then on the flip side, if the appraisal comes in under the purchase price, again, they will take that lower number. If your appraisal comes in under value, it's pretty rare, especially here in the East Bay market with, the market kind of continuing to go up. If that does happen, you need to make up the value. But really, at the end of the day, we are hoping for, and hopefully your agent has gone through those comps with you and they feel really confident, and you feel really confident going into it, so that, when the appraisal number comes back, you know what to expect. That's really the most important thing. We don't want to have any surprises in your transaction. All right, so let's talk about an appraisal when you're doing a refinance. So in general, this is a far less sort of stressful situation because you already own the home, right? You already own the home, you've been living here, and rates are low and you just want to go and refinance the loan. You will still need to go through the process of having an appraisal because the bank wants to verify, right? Let's say you've been living in your house for 2 years and, likely the value of your house has gone up. So the bank wants to verify what that value is, right? So they're going to send an appraiser out. They're going to do all the same steps that we talked about for a regular purchase. They're going to need comps, right? They're going to need comparable sales in order to justify what the value is, aside from, measuring the square footage, making sure you have basic health and safety has been met, and figuring out if there were any upgrades that you've made. So when you're preparing for an appraisal, it's really, really important, especially if you're doing this for a refinance and you don't have your agent involved. Call your agent and ask them for comparable sales, right? That's really important because you want to be able to hand those comparable sales to the appraiser to make sure, that you've done that diligence and you've given them an idea of, what you think the value is. You're also going to want to make a list of any of the upgrades that you've made. Let's say you've put up a fence, a new retaining wall, upgraded your kitchen, upgraded your bathroom, put in new windows, put in new blinds, anything that is physically attached to the house, right? Furniture doesn't count. Like if you bought a brand new couch, they don't care about that, right? Because if you move out, you're going to take it with you. Anything that's attached to the home, you know, put in new landscaping, anything like that. You want to just make a list and maybe even include some photos. And then you can give that to the appraiser along with the comparable sales that you have, so they can you know, take that information with them and have that when they sit down at their computer to type up the appraisal report. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Get Real, Get Real Estate. Once again, I am Georgia Ruddero. You can find me online at The Real Ruddero on social media, and also my website, therealruddero.com. Any questions or comments, please put them below, and be sure to subscribe and like this video, share it with your friends and your family. Have a great day. Bye.